I'm not going to be able to see me. Okay. I hope everybody can hear me just fine. So my name is Juana Samuila, and I'd like to welcome everybody to the second webinar organized by Celtic Publishing. We're going to be looking at Carnival and different activities that you can do with your students in these 2 weeks before Carnival actually happens. So we're going to see everything from listening to creating to arts and crafts, everything. I'm just going to start by telling you that sometimes you're going to see me looking to the side because I have all of your comments going up on a second screen. So if you see me looking in a different direction, it's because I'm trying to see what you guys are saying. At the same time, I'm going to tell you right off that we are going to be, I'm going to need you to see a video after our webinar, and I'm going to give you the link in this presentation. So can I just ask if everybody can see me and everybody can hear me? All right, just type it in the chat box and I can see that. So if there are any problems, I have somebody here next to me who's going to help you solve those problems. So everybody should be fine. Okay, if everybody can hear me and see me, I think we should get started. So I'm actually going to tell you that it's technology. It's Carnival time. I'm going to start by asking you a question. What type of activities do you usually do for Carnival? I'd like you to type your ideas in the chat box, maybe just some really short, maybe just some words, something that I can read real fast to see if you do anything that I do as well. See if we can collaboratively come up with some activities. So I'll just give you a few seconds to see if anybody comes up with some ideas. And then we'll go to my ideas. Ooh, songs or rhymes from Lucia. That sounds nice. I'd be very curious what songs you do. Okay. Cut and color masks. Definitely. I love masks. And I don't think there's any better opportunity to do masks than obviously Carnival and Halloween. Create masks, definitely. We're going to be looking at that today as well. Anything else? Maybe some reading. Maybe some videos, mask, drawing, creative activities, and rhymes. Oh my God, you need to really share your rhymes with me because I'm stumped at that one. Okay, cut and paste, definitely. Okay, so let me go to my next slide. Okay, everybody's doing the mask, so I'm going to show you a mask later on. I hope you're going to love it. Usually for Carnival, I do everything that you can see. Ooh, drama. Oh, Patrizia, you need to help us with that one. I do everything you can see on this slide. Specifically, I like to do some reading, by that I mean that we generally look at some CLIL type of activities. So they read something about Carnival, about how it came about, maybe some fun facts from countries around the world. Watching the Rio de Janeiro parade, for example, wonderful activity for kids. Maybe then they can try and do the costumes, make the costumes on their own. Some listening. This is a great moment for them to listen to interviews and stuff like that. So giving them an opportunity to listen to some Carnival vocabulary. Obviously, making, coloring, anything that is arts and crafts. I think Carnival is an excellent moment to break out scissors and glue and cut and paste and do all of those crazy things. But at the same time, I think Carnival should also be a moment for thinking. And by that, I mean activities that can be more cognitively challenging than simply producing a mask, which can be so much fun. But as we know, that engages the child more on a manual level rather than on a cognitive level. So we're going to look at some activities that you can use in class that revolve around specifically these types of activities. I'm going to ask you another question. Carnival. What words can you think of relating to carnival? So again, I'd like you to type them in the chat box and see what we can get, what we can put together. Okay, I'm going to be waiting for that. Color, okay. Costume, yes, definitely Olga. What else, guys? Carnival, think hard. This is a brainstorming, God, we do that all the time in class, don't we? A funny time, okay. Okay, parades, definitely parades. Fun, carnival is fun. Colors, colors and colors. Notting Hill, Antonella, yes, although a lot of people have asked me about that. Party colors and dance, Notting Hill actually happens in August. So despite the fact that I think it's a wonderful carnival, it kind of, it's too late for us to use it by the time it's in August. Okay, fancy dress, imagination, I think that's a good word. Happiness. Okay, let me show you what I've got. Costume, which is something that you've written as well. I think Carnival is a really good time to talk about costumes and therefore talk about clothes. So it could be that you've already studied clothes with your students or you're about to study clothes with your students. It's an excellent moment to actually do funny clothes that would potentially create a costume. I don't know if you enjoy this or not, but I personally love asking my students to come to class with a costume on. So in the past, they've actually come to class in full costume, and then we've explored a vocabulary using their costumes because they were either dressed as cowboys or pirates or fairies. So it's a great moment to actually creatively look at clothes they actually have on them. My next word would be mask. We all love to make masks for Carnival. And I have to say, I think it's one of the nicest activities that you can do with kids. I teach an age range that goes from elementary to high school. And I can honestly say that I've done masks with all of my students, even the ones that are finishing high school this year. Everybody loves to get a color pencil and just create something out of nothing. Obviously, for an elementary student, we do need to prepare them or give them instructions or give them a mask that they can color. So scaffolding it is definitely really important. But overall, I think mask is one of the favorite words around Carnival. Mardi Gras. Now, a lot of people know about Notting Hill, but not so many people, not so many teachers I've found are aware that there is an equivalent in the United States, really famous one. It's called Mardi Gras, which literally means Fat Tuesday. It was imported to the United States by the French since New Orleans and most of the south of the United States used to be a French colony. It managed to survive, and despite the fact that it doesn't have a religious aspect about it anymore, Mardi Gras still stands as one of the biggest celebrations in the United States, and it is in fact celebrated at the same time as you celebrate Carnival in Italy. The difference would be that people wear masks and costumes, just like here, and go on parades, just like here. But at the same time, they have strands of beads around their neck that they give each other. And technically, the more strands of beads you have, the more popular you are at the parade. So it's a very nice little tradition that could be used in class as well. My next one is parade. I personally love parades and I love to put on class parades. So we're going to look at the mask later on, and I'm going to give you some ideas about how you could actually organize a class parade. Shrove Tuesday. Now, since the UK broke with the Catholic Church because of Henry VIII, who started the English Church, they have stopped celebrating Carnival as we know it here in Italy. But in the past, Fat Tuesday used to be called Shrove Tuesday, and it did indeed used to be celebrated by the British as well. Nowadays, it is not celebrated as much, but it's still historically is something that you can explore with your students, and you can do an internet search with older students just to see the reason why, for example, the celebration has stopped existing in the UK. King cake. This is a type of cake that is either associated with the end of the Christmas season, the Epiphany, which would you call here La Befana. But in other countries, like for example in Brazil, it is associated with the Lent celebrations, with Carnival itself, because it was considered that Carnival was the actual moment of the end of the Christmas season. That brings me to my next word, which is Lent. I think this is a really interesting word that your students will probably not know, but I think it's quite nice because it is technically the period when the Christian tradition asks us not to eat meat. And you do have Lent before Easter as we know it, and in Italiano I think it's called Quaresima. And we have Lent in other periods of the year, for example, up to Christmas or up to the Italian Ferragosto, which would be St. Mary. So it's a word that maybe they haven't seen, but definitely they can relate to their own culture. Now, these are some, my final word, almost forgot, would be sweets and beads. Sweets because, as we know, here in Italy, you have a strong tradition of making some types of desserts, some types of sweets that are only available around Carnival, and they are absolutely delicious, I have to say, absolutely delicious. And beads because, again, you could actually start a tradition in the Mardi Gras type of celebration using beads in class that are a little bit easier to use than a costume, a whole costume. Okay, all of these words can be used in class, but how? Well, you could brainstorm types of masks and costumes. So they could think about what they've worn last year, what they've seen their friends wear, what types of masks or costumes they've seen around when they've gone on parades. You could show them videos, and then they would have to identify the types of masks and costumes and then write some more. So it could be that you are simply giving them a chance to maybe either think of something they've worn or something they might like to wear in the future. An internet search, this is definitely something that you can do with older kids, but nowadays most children are fairly aware of how to use YouTube and Google, so an internet search should be available from probably grade 3 elementary. They should probably be able to do an internet search. Again, looking at types of costumes, but now you're focusing on specific carnivals. So it could be that you divide your class into groups, each group being responsible for one carnival. It could be that somebody's responsible for Viareggio, that we know has a month-long celebration. That's ridiculous. It could be that somebody's responsible for Venezia, Venice. Somebody else is responsible for their hometown, and again, others for Rio de Janeiro. They could then come together and collate the information in a poster. So giving them an actual task that does not necessarily require them to instantly use the language, but might require them to use the language when they do the collaborative task of creating a poster or creating a project or creating a presentation of what they've found. An internet search and present the main carnival celebrations. Now they could be focusing on exactly what happens in a carnival. This is very clear, allowing students to research something and then giving them the tools to organize the information that they've gathered into a presentation that they can then share with their peers and their teacher, and maybe in the future with other members of the school, is actually a tool that they will need both in middle school, high school, and obviously in university. So I can't stress this enough, how important it is that they do start to use the information that they get in a very creative way, so that they can actually see that what they've been told in class by you or by a text or by a video is useful for something. So a good activity would be researching what happens in a carnival and then maybe creating a flow chart of it, or a progression chart, or something that shows exactly the different phases of the carnival celebrations. Prepare some masks and organize your own class parade. Now, this is my all-time favorite. I would probably have carnival every single week just so that I could use masks and organize class parades. I don't know about you. I don't know if you feel the same, but I think kids and masks just mix so really well. So it's a really nice thing to do with kids. We're going to be looking at that some more. Finally, my all-time favorite activity with reading is running dictation. I probably think some of you, I sometimes need to look at the comments because I think you're writing a lot of really interesting things, and I promise I will be looking at all of them, especially towards the end of our time together. Reading activities, running dictation. Some of you might know it, and I'm sure that you've tried it. I use it all the time. For those of you that maybe have never done it or don't know how to do it, here's a short explanation. You need a short text. Obviously, because it's carnival, it's going to be on the topic of carnival. It could be about masks or costumes or a specific carnival. You're going to divide your children. I imagine you have groups that go between maybe 18 to 28 students. That's kind of like the average number of students in an Italian classroom. Divide them into 3 or 4 groups. You have to have the text printed out in small letters, so small font, on a small piece of paper. Now, you might ask yourself, why? That's because kids are particularly clever. If you print it out big, they have like eagle eyes, and they will see it from across the classroom. You know that, right? So it's not like I'm telling you anything new. If it's tiny, then they will have to actually run up to it and read it. And that's exactly what they have to do. So the children divided into the 4 groups will have to, one member will have to run to the text, read a few words off the text. Obviously, it has to go in progression, so they can't read random words. Run back and dictate the words to the team member that was after him. That person writes the words down, and once he's finished, and only once he's finished, can he run and gather 3-4 more words for his team. Obviously, the first team to finish technically should win, right? Wrong, because they should also be correct. So the team that has the most correct text, I don't know if you can say that, but the team that has the text that is most closest to the original version wins. I've had students that managed to get the whole text correct on the first go. But generally, it's going to take you 2 or 3 times doing this type of activity, before they start to really understand the importance of accuracy. And in fact, this type of activity works on so many levels because it helps them work as a team, which is something that we need to teach our kids nowadays because they don't get the chance to do team activities as much as I used to do or as you used to do. They also have to be accurate, so they can't randomly read and randomly say something and randomly write it. It has to be in the order that they find in the actual text. They're practicing pronunciation. They're practicing speaking because one of them might not understand what the other said, and they'll say, "What?" So they're practicing a bunch of skills which ultimately are necessary in our English classes. So it's a really nice activity. If you get a chance to use it, I think you'll have a lot of fun. Please perseverate. It's gonna be horrible the first time, maybe even the second time, but I promise you when you get to the fourth, the fifth, when they know what it's about, it's gonna work. So you're gonna be able to use it over and over again with them. Okay. You can see a little asterisk at the bottom of my slide. I'm going to give you an example text that you can directly use. You obviously can come up with your own text. It's going to be downloadable from Monday, so you should be able to find it on the website Raffaello Formazione in the, help me here, in the Archivio webinar. Okay, sorry guys, she told me, but I forgot. In the Archivio webinar, you're gonna find it there. You can download it. It's also gonna have something else that I'm gonna tell you in a bit. Oh, look at this guy. I really love coloring with my students. So this is a page from Jambo Clill 123. Some of you might know it. If you don't, that's fine. Again, you're gonna find it. It's going to be in the downloads. So we're going to look at coloring and cutting. More specifically, here are some of my favorite activities for coloring and cutting. Choose the colors and say the words. This is for younger kids where they have to give the color to each other. So they have to actually name it and then they will receive it. So the other student has to correctly understand and identify the color and pass it to his partner. Color and compare with your partner, see what they have different. They have to say what the differences are and say what the similarities are, which is really useful for when they grow up and they have to actually do that in Cambridge exams. Collaborative coloring, we're gonna look at that in a second, and create your code in color. Again, I'm gonna show you in a second what I mean. Okay, so we're gonna try one. You have to help me with something. I'm going to ask you to do something, and you have to do it because you'll get it better if you do. This is collaborative coloring. Choose two colors and type your colors in the chat box. You can choose any two colors you want. Waiting for your colors. Come on. Oh, thank you, Olga. And Gabriela and Antonella and Lucia, thank you so much. Okay, so now you've got colors. Imagine that I'm virtually giving you the colors. Can you see your colors? Okay, everybody got their colors? Okay, now you have your colors, okay? We're gonna color. You have your clown mask and you're gonna color. But I'd like you to type in the chat box what you are hypothetically coloring and what color. Like, for example, a red nose. Okay. Blue hair from Lucia, thank you. Anybody else coloring? Blue mouth, okay. Green hair, okay. Everybody's doing great. Okay, pink bow, that's great. Okay, perfect. Now you've finished, you only have two colors, so you can only color two things. I would like you now to give your clown mask to your partner. And it's their turn to color your clown mask. I'll give you a minute, and then I'll ask you to give it to the next person over. And so on in a circle until it actually comes back to me. By the end of it, I will have a clown mask that has been I haven't colored it almost at all. It's been collaborative. Obviously, smaller groups, smaller classes, it's easier that the person will get to color their own mask maybe more than once. Bigger classes, they might actually only color it once. A different way to do this would be to put them into groups and have them collaboratively color in groups. By the end of it, you will see that most of your students will be asking each other, oh, did you color my hair blue? Why did you color my hair blue? And you could actually ask them to guess who colored what on their clown mask, write it in pencil who they thought the person that colored that specific part of the clown mask, and then to actually stand up, walk over and ask them, is it you who colored my clown mask? Because I always have to remember that we're using the present simple. Is it you who colored my hair blue? Or is it you who colored my mouth red? You could also juggle and do other types of verbs, but I would say that sticking to a is it you would work just fine. Collaborative clown mask, I think would work great. They really enjoy it. They're constantly checking on their mask, so you're going to constantly see them kind of peering up, trying to see where their mask is and who's coloring it. And at the end of it, you could actually organize a clown mask parade with these collaborative masks. But we need something more difficult for the older kids, because for older kids, they're going to be finished with this activity in 2 seconds. So in order to make it more difficult, I've given them a code. You can put numbers on your clown mask, and then you could give them a code with colors. Like, for example, number 1 is yellow, number 2 is red, 3 is orange, 4 is blue, 5 is green, and 6 is purple. And they have to follow the code and color their clown masks. But even this is not particularly challenging. Yes, it's a little bit more difficult, but not particularly challenging. What is more challenging is decide your own code and exchange it with a partner, and then color the clown. Not only that, but you could use this to revise maths. So let's imagine that you want to do a CLIL lesson. You're going to have, for example, you're going to have operations, sums, or multiplications that have the end result of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. In that way, they would have to first use maths and then finally color. Okay. And again, you could create a gallery of clowns. If the kids don't really want to wear the masks, you could actually just frame them, have them write a description underneath, and maybe have it outside of the classroom, something that they can show everybody else, or they could take it home at the end of Carnival. You could also use those masks, the clown mask that you've just collaboratively colored, to create a listening activity similar to, this is a page from, why can't I see it anymore? Should be a page from Super Wow number 1. I can't see the, you'll see it when you download the page. This should be a page from Super Wow number 1. And in this particular activity, you will have to listen and say which clown is speaking. So we're going to try it. Again, I will ask you to use the chat box and type the correct name. Okay? Is everybody ready?
Listen and say. My eyes are blue. My face is yellow.
Okay, guys, who is it? Okay. I'll play it again.
Listen and say. My eyes are blue. My face is yellow. I'm.
Okay, somebody's got it. Everybody's writing bingo, bingo. Exactly, it is bingo. And you can check.
Listen and say.
Bingo, exactly. So that's really good. Obviously, you would have to either ask your students to create the audio files or create the audio files yourself. But technically, it would be an activity that you would create with them from scratch. I think most students really enjoy the opportunity to create something and then have their peers try it out. So that's something that, again, okay, I'm just gonna, because I'm seeing most of you didn't really hear Bingo say it, but I could tell you that Bingo said, my eyes are blue, my face is yellow, and then he stopped. So you could definitely do it with the clown masks that you've made, saying, my hair is pink, my mouth is orange, my hat is blue, and you could do it on your own, or you could ask your students to do it at home as a homework, or you could do it with them in class as part of a class project. Okay. Activities like this will allow you to either teach the face. Again, I'm telling you that Carnival is a really great moment for clothes, but it is a really great moment for parts of the body as well. So if you've already taught the face, you could consolidate it. These types of activities will allow the students to actively participate in the teaching, but also to personalize the teaching experience, which is something that most students really enjoy to do. So start with this activity. Again, this is going to be downloadable, and then create your own with the drawings of the clowns that we looked at before, which again are going to be in the downloads from the Raffaello Formazione website. For older kids, we still need to make it a little bit more difficult or a little bit more challenging, or just make it last a little bit longer. So in Super Wow 2, we have a really nice couple of pages that talk about fancy dress parties. And this particular activity here, where they have to listen and complete with clothes, could be also transformed, where they initially write the words and then listen to check, or they simply get no text and they have to write the whole sentence. So it's a lot more challenging. You could follow it up with the page from the workbook, which is at the end of Super Wow. This is page 13 of the Super Wow 2 workbook, where again, you're working with clothes vocabulary, and this would tie in perfectly. They could then color the clothes, the specific colors that are in the text. On the next page, you have in exercise 2, read, then draw and complete. But you could make it more difficult by cutting up the text and the pictures and having the students match it. So they would, yes, have to read, but then have to actually match it to the picture. You could have the students write the text for the pictures, so they only receive the pictures and they have to write sentences to describe them. Or if you want to make it a little bit more easy, maybe you've done more difficult activities with them, giving them the text and asking them to draw a picture and then comparing it with the original pictures. So these are just some different ways of using material that you already have in the book. Obviously, I am a #1 fan of Bingo. I swear to God, I play it with, I even make my mother play Bingo with me. I just really like it, and I think it's a great activity that most kids really enjoy. And you can use it not just simply for words, but you could also use it for more complex structures, and I'm just gonna give you some ideas for that. So obviously, if you want to do it for just the words, then they will make a grid, choose 4 words, and then play. Obviously, this means that they would have to cross out their 4 words, and that's it, it's done. Obviously, you don't do the next one, you give it to the person who wins, and he's responsible for extracting and saying the words. A variation on this bingo game is that they choose the words in a line, and they cannot progress to their second word unless they have crossed out their first. They cannot progress to their third unless they have eliminated their second. That means that in your bag of words, you do not take out words, but simply read them and put them back in. So realistically, not the person who has the 4 words wins, but the person who has the 4 words in a specific order. It's a little bit of a variation. It manages to make it a little bit longer, and cognitively, it makes it a little bit more difficult for the students. I will have a description of this type of game in the downloads that you will be able to access from Monday. Like I said, you could use it for the words, or you could use it for clothes and colors. In this case, I'm looking directly at the ones that they had to color, and so they would have to again make a grid, but this time they choose 4 word groups. So not only do they have to match the clothes and the color, the clothes with what they've chosen, but with also the color. So you would have 2 bowls of words, and you would pick up a color and pick up a piece of cloth, and then you would match them and say, for example, a red skirt. If I have a green skirt, I can't eliminate it. So obviously, again, the game is longer and it is more cognitively challenging. Let's get back to our clown, because time is pressing. Now, this clown usually has a strange nose, right? Do you agree with me? Could you type it in the chat box? Okay. Yeah, usually has strange nose, right? Okay. Does he have a big or a small nose? Big or small? Okay, big, 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 big. Okay, a big nose, yeah. Is it pink or red? Pink or red? Red, okay. Anybody else? Red, red. Yeah, usually it's red, right? Okay. We're gonna make him a nose. Now, realistically, if I had all of you in front of me, this would be the moment when I would give you some yarn. I would give you some yarn, and we would make a nose from the yarn. Have you ever made a nose from yarn? Could you type it in the chat box if yes or no? Oh, we have some people who think he has a pink nose. I actually appreciate pink as a nose. I think it could be interesting. Okay, you have never made a nose from yarn. Okay. So you're going to learn how to make a nose from yarn right now. Not really difficult. You will need a fork. Yes, a fork. Some yarn and a bit of patience. Okay? Technically, you will take your fork and your yarn and wrap it around the fork. Can you see what yarn is? It's basically wool. You make sweaters out of yarn. Okay? You'll wrap it around your fork. Thread another piece of yarn in the middle, make a bow, and then cut it until it becomes something like this. Okay? Don't worry if you didn't understand. I have a great link to a video on YouTube, and you can definitely see it on YouTube, and you'll understand exactly how it works. The woman who made it is really good. In fact, this is the link to the video. It's a 4-minute video of how to make a pom-pom. It's property of Red Ted Art. They're very, very good. Again, this is going to be in the slides that you can download. If you want to take a picture right now and watch it, that's great as well. I would have included it in the presentation, but videos don't really want to play on PowerPoint. They don't get along. It's like kids and chocolate in class, you know, a little bit like that. So this is a pom-pom. What do you think we're going to do with this pom-pom? Could you write it in the chat box? What do you think we're going to do with it? Oh, somebody wrote a nose. Okay. Okay. Definitely. Oh, Red Ted Art is fantastic. I agree with you, Ensa. I really like them as well. I think they have great ideas and they have really simple videos. Snowman. Snowman? We're gonna make snowman. Okay, yes. I know that you can find an example of how to make pom-poms in one of the Raffaele Editori books as well, the Celtic Publishing books. I've tried it. It works. It's really simple. Okay. So now let's imagine we've finished our red yarn nose. So we've got a red nose. We have an extra red nose. Do you want to give it to this clown? Oh, we can make a rabbit tail out of it. Yeah, absolutely. Okay. A chick. Wow, you're very creative. I need to write these things down. Should we give the nose to this clown? Yeah. So definitely we would give the nose to this clown and he would finally get a nice red nose and your kids are gonna absolutely love it. They're gonna love it. Obviously you can print the face to be quite big as a kid's face, children's faces, and they can actually wear it as a mask and they will go crazy. They're really gonna love it. Whoop, sorry, had a little bit of a problem there. Carnival wouldn't be complete without, obviously, a mask. So I'm going to show you my variation of the mask. We have two versions. We have a high cost and a low cost for this. High cost is good for smaller classes, younger children, and maybe as part of a project, something that you would like to last a little bit longer. By high cost, I mean that you will have to actually buy some materials, and I'll tell you in a little bit what. Low cost is good for larger classes, older children, children who can cut really well, and maybe a shorter lesson on the topic of carnival. You don't want to spend a lot of time on it. You don't want to have a project around it. So something that is fast and can be done easily in class. So for the high cost one, low cost one is better. Yeah, it depends. I think the high cost is gonna, Anna, you're gonna think it's really nice. For the high cost one, you need a paper plate, some scissors, a hole puncher, 3 feathers, 1 purple, 1 green, and 1 yellow. These are the traditional Mardi Gras colors. Spangles or jewel stickers, both the feathers and the spangles or the jewel stickers, you can find them at Lidl. You can find them in most supermarkets. They're not difficult to find, or order on Amazon. Colors, hot glue or normal glue, a stapler, and some yarn. So I'm just going to show you what you need. You actually need, okay. So as you can see, you'll need a paper plate. I had the jewel stickers, I had the feathers, scissors, the hole puncher, and some yarn. And what I did was I actually cut it so that it could fit my face. In the next step, I punched some eyes in. So I made the eyes. They're not perfect, as you can see, but that doesn't really matter. Then at the sides, I punched 2 holes that I'm going to put the yarn through so that I can tie it behind my back, behind the back of my head. And then I started to decorate it. I have to say this was the most difficult one because it required me to be, be quite delicate about where I would put these jewels, and they tended to stick to everything. But in the end, I was pretty satisfied with the result. Obviously, you might ask your kids to actually color the mask before you go to decorating it with jewels or stickers or whatever, which is a good idea. If you don't want to use any sort of stickers or something, you could just ask them to color it. Then I went on to stick my feathers at the top of it. Again, green, gold, and purple are the traditional colors for Mardi Gras, and I think they're very nice. You can see them in the Rio Carnival. You can see them in most Italian carnival parades as well. I used a little piece of rice paper, pink rice paper, to cover where the actual glue went so that it looked a little bit more neat. I finally put the yarn on it, and I'd finished it. I have to say the whole process took about maybe 30 minutes from beginning to end, because I think the one that was the most difficult was actually putting the jewels, because I wanted them to look really nice and I wanted them to be different colors, which was a little bit more difficult. But overall, I think with 30 minutes, any kid would probably be able to do it. And this is the end result. You can see me looking like a crazy person after having finished them. I was very happy. I thought it looked really nice. I have it at my house. I'm going to be doing it in the next 2 weeks with my own students. Very easy to do, not complicated at all. Okay. This is the low-cost one where you'll need, again, a paper plate, scissors, hole puncher, but this time you're going to use 3 paper feathers and pieces of color paper like rice paper instead of the jewels or the stickers. Again, colors, instead of the hot glue, you can use just normal glue, stapler, and some yarn. Extra materials like the paper feathers, you will find them in the downloadable file. So I've included 3 green, gold, and purple feathers that you can directly download and cut with your students in class, so you don't have to worry about that. Okay, so this would be technically it. I'm going to allow you to ask some questions. Before I forget, the explanations for how to make the mask, again, are going to be in the downloads. You're going to have the actual slides and also the slides with the materials. So don't worry, you're going to get everything. You can print them off and just get them to class with you, and just show your students, and they'll know what to do, because kids are quite crafty about these things. Okay, guys, I'm going to ask you to write in the chat box some questions and then see if we can answer them. Okay. This is the awkward moment when I have to wait for questions and I don't know what to do. Have you got some chance from... Well, can I say no? I have to say I'm very sorry about this, but I'm not a very sing-songy person, so I'm not really good at that, but I would recommend showing them the Mardi Gras parades, which use jazz songs, and it's really, really nice. Or showing them the Rio de Janeiro parade, which again has all of those nice upbeat songs. Definitely some chants. You have no idea. I've never used chants for carnival. Can I use hot glue? Yes, I wish I had hot glue for the feathers. I didn't have hot glue with me, so I used normal glue. It worked just fine. Any rhymes? Again, I'm not that good with these kinds of things. I'm more of a storytelling person, so I would actually, instead of using chants or songs or rhymes, I would probably ask them to come up with a story, or maybe tell them a story and invent a story. What can I do for carnival in the 1st grade of primary school? Definitely masks, I think, is a really good one. Probably running to the words that would not be words but visuals, so using visuals instead of the words, practicing on them, saying them correctly. Pronunciation is really important, especially for younger kids. Carnival songs, guys, you've got me with the carnival song. I will be better ready for next time. I need to find a carnival song. Okay, you guys home during carnival. Are there any short poems about carnival? I don't know any. You can show Notting Hill Carnival Parade. Yeah, definitely. You could actually show them Notting Hill Carnival Parade, but just it could be an interesting internet search for them to compare their own carnival. So the carnival you have here in Italy with Notting Hill Carnival, which happens in August. So they could actually see why that happens. Why is it in August? What's the reason for it? And how they're similar, how the 2 carnivals are similar or different. Funny videos for kids. You mean carnival videos? Well, I know that Peppa Pig has come up with some carnival stuff as well. I know that there are plenty of videos from, for example, like Scooby-Doo or the Looney Tunes that speak about the Mardi Gras Carnival. So you'll find a lot of that as well. Typical carnival recipes, I imagine. So some food for carnival. Can I say something? I think a really good exercise for them would be to write the recipes for their Italian food in English, because there aren't many, a lot of recipes for carnival in the international, let's say, in English, I would say, because it's not celebrated in the UK and because Mardi Gras is something completely different in the United States. I think you have a stronger carnival tradition in Italy, so it could be a really great exercise to ask them to actually imagine they would have to explain it to a British or an American and talk about their own recipes from the Italian cuisine as well. Short texts about carnival. You can definitely Google it. You'll see that the text that I've included as downloadable is about carnival, gives a little bit of info about that. I think that would be probably sufficient for students going from grade 1 to grade 5. Probably in grade 1, you won't be able to use it because they're not particularly good at reading and writing. Maybe towards the end of grade 1, yeah. I work with first grade students. I think I will do this mask paper. Yeah, I think the mask is easily doable with every grade, starting grade 1 going to grade 5. The worksheets are going to be included in the downloads. Okay, when is Carnival in the UK? Just like I said in the beginning, because the UK is no longer Catholic, Carnival is not actually celebrated in the UK. It used to be celebrated before Henry VIII, he had like a lot of wives, so decided to break with Catholic tradition, start his own Anglican church, and hence some of the celebrations that they used to have because they were Catholics disappeared, were replaced by others. So there is still information about Shrove Tuesday. So if you Google that, you will definitely find information about that, but it is not celebrated in the UK. Pancake Day, exactly. Most people know that Shrove Tuesday is Pancake Day. And it is almost like a sort of what's left of what used to be Fat Tuesday. That's why they call it Pancake Day. But yes, thank you. Who said that? Olga, exactly. Olga could probably give you more information about Pancake Day. Who's the main character of the carnival? In the Mardi Gras celebration, it's the Rex, which would be the king of the carnival. In Italian tradition, I have to say I'm not particular. Pancake Tuesday, yes. That sounds really delicious, though. In Italian tradition, I have to say I'm not particularly, I don't necessarily know exactly who is the main character of the carnival, but definitely if I would have to tell my students what the main character is, it's masks. It's the celebration itself, it's the parade. So that kind of the big party. What about face painting? Yes. Again, if I had you in front of me, I would probably 100% do a little bit of face-based painting or some more physical things. I think you can definitely do it. You have to have a bathroom next to your class and some help. And you have to hope everything will go fine. But yeah, face painting sounds great. Can I use a journal? What do you mean by a journal? Journal in the sense of like a diary. I'm stumped at that one. Maybe you'll, Antonella, maybe you'll write like a clarification so I can help you with that. Like I said, you will be able to download a recipe. Can I use a recipe? Okay, it's carnival. Carnival cake is the king's cake. Like I said in the beginning, it's a cake that is usually it's round with a hole in the middle, and it's usually colored in purple, green, and gold, yellow, actually. It's sweet. And in Mardi Gras celebration, they used to put a pea inside of the cake, and the person who would find the pea in the cake would become the carnival king. Great traditions. Again, if you see the words that we've used in the little brainstorming activity, which are going to be downloadable, and you Google them, I've included a little description of all. Google them and you will receive so much more information and you can decide how to use them. Yes, Pancake Day is on the same day as Shrove Tuesday. Yes, yeah. Now, again, I haven't included a lot of information about Pancake Day because it specifically is not actually celebrated in all of Great Britain. And it is truly no longer connected to what Carnival actually stands for. So a lot of people have absolutely no idea that Pancake Day relates back to Shrove Tuesday. So that's why. Why are coriandoli called confetti? Oh, can I ask you the other way around? Why are confetti called coriandoli? I'm always asking myself why some Italian words exist. I don't know. They're called confetti. I don't have my. That's a very interesting question. I would use that kind of question for my students to have them do an internet search or give them an etymology dictionary. You can find etymology dictionaries online. So giving them that kind of question, I think would really, I think it would be really interesting. Mardi Gras, yes, it is the carnival of the south of the United States. It's actually only celebrated in New Orleans. It is not celebrated throughout the United States. Notting Hill Carnival, like I said, I think it's a great way of comparing two different but similar traditions. So maybe comparing Carnival to the Notting Hill Carnival would be a really good, a really great way of allowing your students to become curious about it. Yeah, it's really, really famous. It's very famous. It's, I think, very well known, very well attended. You've probably seen it in a lot of books. Confetti are sugared almonds in Italy. Yes, I know, absolutely. Yeah, it's absolutely correct. Coriandoli is confetti. I don't know why. Okay. Piñata. Have you small? Okay. Oh, you mean like, okay, like, I don't know what a piñata is. I'm trying to understand. What is a piñata? I'm lost. Piñata. Oh, my Italian person here is lost as well. Description, I don't know. I'm gonna Google that. Coriandoli is confetti in English. Yeah, 100%. Yes. I should have put confetti in. I don't know. I just didn't think about that. Yeah, I know. I thought it was the Italian one. Okay. No, you usually have a piñata. You usually have it for Cinco de Mayo, which is the 5th of May, which is a Spanish celebration. Okay. Okay, guys, so I think that's it. I would like to thank you for participating on behalf of Celtic Publishing. I hope you really enjoyed the webinar. I really enjoyed running it. I hope I've given you some useful stuff to use in class and have fun with these activities and with your students. So my name is Juana Samuela. Again, I'm an ELT blogger and creator, but also a teacher, language teacher at International House Ancona Jesi. And I'd like to thank Celtic Publishing for giving me the opportunity. And I'll see you in the next webinars, right? Okay, goodbye, guys. Thank you so much for being excellent participants in this webinar. Okay, they're signaling I'm still here.